Welcome to We Are the Hunt Sketchbook. Join me as I create and develop the world of the hunt, one drawing and one video at a time. At this point, I have a decent backlog of sketches, which will take too many videos to cover individually, so I'll be showcasing multiple sketches in some videos if they're all relevant to each other, such as this video. As you can tell, I'm starting to prototype the Renegade girl of the cast. With her, there's a lot more that's up in the air for me. If we're taking the general traits from, say, Blake Belladonna from RWBY, there were a lot of things I liked about Blake as a character. During Remnants, I portrayed her more as a shy bookworm type, but I also quite like Blake's canon portrayal in RWBY Volume 1 as a more standoffish, confrontational person. I also am thinking beyond the scope of just RWBY. If I was going with the general archetype of a cat girl, I also really liked Izutsumi from Dungeon Meshi, a temperamental ally who was only out for her own interests and goals. Conversely, if I wanted to lean more into the idea of just a goth chick with a black color palette, then the sky's the limit there. I could take inspiration from, say, Ellen Jo from Zenless Zone Zero, a lazy but capable shark girl, which means I could make this character half animal but not necessarily half cat. So these are all my current considerations when designing this girl, though within the scope of this sketchbook video, I had to start somewhere, so I began with the familiar catgirl archetype and explored visually what kind of vibe I wanted from her. The current working idea I have for this girl is most likely some sort of freedom fighter or renegade soldier who, unlike her peers, was forced to survive away from the safety of civilization. So I kinda started designing her battle outfit, looking pretty tactical and uniform-like. It's here I also wanted to explore different skin tones. I'm a big fan of the series Shadow and Bone, which is a book and Netflix series. One of the characters is Inej, a badass assassin girl. She was separated from her family as a child and was sold to an underground black market network called the Menagerie. Yes, the Menagerie, and raised as a young assassin. She's one of my favorite characters from the series. And in the past, I have also explored the possibility of giving Blake darker skin, given her parents, Callie and Gira, were implied to be inspired from Indian culture. Of course, Blake canonically had light skin and a more East Asian influence, so I ended up leaning more towards canon. But since now anything goes, this was my opportunity to properly explore those design possibilities. Though like I said, anything is subject to change right now, so I do find the darker skin provides a really striking contrast with her eyes and face markings, making them stand out more. I also explored a lot of hairstyles with her. Like I said, the sky is the limit now, but just designing a good looking hairstyle in isolation isn't always enough, so I also wanted to draw her interacting with the rest of the cast that I've cooked up so far, and see how well her design fits in relation to everyone else. I'm also considering the type and variation of character dynamics I want in We Are the Hunt. Part of why I liked RWBY so much was how well its main cast complemented and contrasted with each other. Each pair within Team RWBY had their points of difference, but also points of similarities. For example, RWBY is an innocent, bubbly girl, while Blake was the jaded, guarded girl of the group. Yet both could relate to each other with their hobby of reading books. It was also a headcanon I had that Blake saw a lot of her younger self in RWBY before her loss of innocence from joining the White Fang, and as a result is very protective of RWBY because of it. These sort of headcanons are also what I can draw from as inspiration for designing these new characters for We Are the Hunt, though I'm making sure I'm not binding myself to those expectations either. There's a lot of brain work that goes into this project, designing and coming up with things, and being able to create my own canon is very freeing, though that also means I have to build and properly cement its foundations myself. That being said, I'm enjoying the process of just taking my time getting to know this project. A lot of my time back then with RWBY Remnants was more spent worrying about reaching the destination, worrying about potential scenes or potential character moments that were so far in the distant future that they felt unreachable, impossible to achieve. Here though, I have the space and freedom to simply enjoy the journey as it is, right in front of me. I can discover the big moments organically, crafting a story that only needs to answer to itself, not an entire wiki of implied external lore or the mismatched, unknowable intentions of a group of other people. And I'm pleased that you are joining me in the same journey, more or less in real time. Here are my sketches of this yet unnamed girl so far. Next video is most likely about the false girl, but we'll see where it takes us. I've drawn a lot of other characters too, and I'm trying to go somewhat chronologically in the order I've drawn all these sketches, so that the older sketches don't get outdated by the time I make a video about them. So we'll see. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.